Chosen one. Forget about 2025. Let it go. Release it. What didn't work, what delayed you, what tested you, it has already served its purpose. Chosen one. You are not watching this by accident. This moment was scheduled by heaven. Divine timing has aligned your steps to this exact message because you are standing at the edge of a supernatural shift. A year is approaching not to break you, but to reveal you. 2026 is the year you were chosen to shock everyone by your wealth. You tried in 2025. You showed up. You stayed disciplined. You believed even when nothing moved, and the silence almost made you question yourself. But deep down, Anointed One, you always knew this is not how my story ends. Scripture reminds us in Habakkuk chapter 2 verse 3 that the vision awaits its appointed time, and when it comes, it will not delay. That appointed time is now approaching. There is a regret you feel not from failure, but from knowing you were capable of more and almost settling too early. That regret is holy. It is the signal that you are ready to move differently, think differently, and carry wealth without losing your soul. Stay with this message. Listen all the way through. If your spirit is stirring, subscribe now, not out of habit, but alignment. And in the comments type, I know what to do. Let it be your covenant with yourself. Your transformation has already begun. Chosen one. What you are stepping into now is not a concept, it is a crossing. There are moments in life when heaven does not whisper, it interrupts. And this is one of those moments. You are not here to be informed. You are here to be repositioned. Something has already begun shifting beneath the surface of your life. And the reason you have felt unsettled, restless, and quietly dissatisfied is because your spirit knows it can no longer live under an old agreement. For a long time you believed the resistance you felt was external, the economy, the timing, the people, the circumstances. But the truth is more sacred than that. The resistance was internal. It was not that wealth was unavailable to you. It was that your spirit was still carrying beliefs that could not coexist with the level of abundance heaven was preparing to trust you with. And heaven is precise. It does not release weight where there is fracture. I learned this the hard way. There was a season when I worked harder than I ever had, showed up earlier than everyone else, stayed longer, sacrificed more, and still watched opportunities slip through my fingers. At the time I thought it was unfair. Later, I realized it was merciful, because I was still carrying quiet judgments about wealth, power, and visibility that would have caused me to sabotage every breakthrough the moment it arrived. Heaven was not withholding. Heaven was protecting. Here is what you must understand now. You will never sustain a level of wealth your identity does not feel safe holding. Your spirit will always eject what it secretly believes is dangerous, corrupt, or undeserved. This is why some people receive sudden money and lose it just as suddenly. It was never about intelligence or strategy. It was about agreement. The first work of 2026 is not hustle. It is not speed. It is not grinding harder. It is the holy work of rewriting the agreements you made with yourself long before you ever understood you were making them. Agreements formed in childhood. Agreements inherited through family conversations. Agreements absorbed through casual comments, through fear, disguised as wisdom, through warnings meant to protect you, but that quietly trained you to shrink. Somewhere along the way, you were taught directly or indirectly that people with wealth must have compromised their integrity, that goodness and abundance cannot coexist, that visibility attracts danger, that being too much invites judgment. And because your heart is clean, because you are not driven by greed, part of you decided it would rather stay small than risk becoming someone you were taught to fear. That agreement ends here. Anointed One. Wealth is not evil. Wealth is a magnifier. It reveals what is already inside the vessel. And the reason heaven is preparing you now is because your vessel has been purified through seasons of lack, discipline, restraint, and obscurity. You did not collapse when life was tight. You did not become bitter when progress was slow. You did not lose your values when no one was watching. That was training. You are not behind. You are calibrated. The shift that begins now requires you to question every belief that quietly says, "That kind of life is not for me." You must learn to ask, not emotionally, but honestly, who taught me this? Where did this belief originate? Was it truth or was it survival? Was it wisdom or was it fear passed down like an heirloom no one ever examined? Because here is the reality. You cannot climb into a new future while carrying the weight of old assumptions. It is like trying to ascend while dragging a bag of stones labeled humility, being realistic and not getting your hopes up. That weight feels noble, but it will exhaust you before you ever reach your assignment. When heaven prepares someone for elevation, it first restores their permission to dream, not fantasy vision. Vision that feels too large for logic, but perfectly aligned with the quiet knowing in your spirit. You were never meant to live reacting to circumstances. You were meant to live responding to calling. And this is where many people hesitate. They say, "I don't even know how it would happen." But clarity does not begin with the how. Clarity begins with the where. Destination before method. Vision before mechanism. When the why is holy enough, the how rearranges itself. I remember writing things down that felt absurd at the time. Numbers that did not match my bank account. Roles that did not match my sum. Futures that did not match my environment. But something inside me recognized them as familiar, not hopeful familiar, as if my spirit had seen them before my eyes ever could. That is how divine vision feels. It does not excite you like fantasy. It steadies you like memory. Chosen one. Your mind does not move toward what it understands. It moves toward what it sees, and what you repeatedly allow yourself to see in images, in language, in imagination, becomes the target your focus unconsciously aligns with. This is not mysticism. This is design. Heaven built you this way on purpose. What you focus on grows. What you rehearse becomes normal. What you normalize becomes destiny. This is why the coming season demands a change, not just in thought, but in inner imagery. You must allow yourself to stand mentally in rooms you have never entered physically, to see yourself handling responsibility with calm, to feel yourself making decisions without fear, to imagine generosity flowing through your hands without guilt or hesitation. These images are not arrogance, they are preparation. People will begin to appear in your life who feel strangely aligned. Conversations will open doors you did not knock on. Opportunities will surface that feel less like chance and more like recognition. And you will wonder how they found you. They did not find you randomly. They found the version of you that finally became visible. But hear this clearly, none of this works unless you are willing to release the identity that kept you safe but small. The identity that waits for permission. The identity that says, "one day." The identity that prepares endlessly but never steps fully into agreement. You are not becoming someone else. You are shedding what never belonged. And as this first layer breaks, you may feel both excitement and grief. Excitement for what is possible. Grief for the time spent doubting yourself. That grief is not weakness. It is evidence that you are waking up. Do not rush past this moment. Let it do its work. Because once you see what has been quietly limiting you, you can never unsee it. And once that weight lifts, the ascent begins not with noise, not with announcement, but with unmistakable alignment. And when alignment begins, everything changes. Chosen one. Once the old agreements begin to dissolve, a deeper work starts, the work most people avoid because it feels unfamiliar and uncomfortable. This is the moment when heaven asks you a question that cannot be answered with effort alone. Who are you willing to be before there is evidence? This is where many stop. They wait for proof. They wait for confirmation. They wait for permission from circumstances. But divine elevation does not respond to waiting. It responds to alignment. And alignment begins with identity, not outcome. For years you were trained to believe that becoming comes after having. That once the money shows up, once the title arrives, once the environment changes, then you will feel confident, grounded and certain. But heaven reverses that order. You are asked to become first, to move as the person who is no longer negotiating their worth, to think as the person who does not need external validation to feel authorized, to speak as the one who already knows they belong in rooms they have not yet entered. I struggled with this myself. There was a time when I had the skills, the discipline, the ideas, but my internal posture was still asking for permission. I downplayed my goals. I softened my language. I made my dreams smaller so they would feel less threatening to others and safer to myself. And without realizing it, I was signaling to the world that I was not ready to be trusted with more. Heaven listens closely to those signals. Identity is not what you claim on good days. It is what you default to under pressure. When opportunity appears, suddenly do you lean in or do you hesitate? When responsibility increases, do you expand or do you retreat? When success begins to form, does your spirit feel calm or does it search for ways to give it away? You will never outperform the way you see yourself. And if you secretly see yourself as someone who survives rather than someone who leads, you will unconsciously resist anything that requires authority, visibility, or weight. This is why the work of 2026 is internal before it is external. It is the year you stop practicing being ready and start acting from readiness. Even if your bank account has not caught up yet, even if your environment has not changed yet, even if the evidence is still forming. Because here is the truth most people never hear. Reality rearranges itself fastest around those who are internally settled. When your identity stabilizes, chaos loses its leverage. When your self-perception becomes anchored, distractions lose their power. When you stop negotiating who you are, the world adjusts accordingly. You do not create success by chasing it. You attract success by becoming congruent with it. Think about the people you naturally want to help, the ones you trust, the ones you believe in. It is rarely because they are desperate or uncertain. It is because their presence feels grounded, their energy is calm, their direction is clear. People move toward clarity instinctively. Opportunity does the same. This is why heaven is calling you to shift how you be, not just what you do. Doing follows being. Action follows identity. And when the order is correct, effort stops feeling like force and starts feeling like flow. You may not feel wealthy yet, and that is okay, but you must begin to feel at home with wealth, comfortable with responsibility, familiar with abundance, at peace with visibility. If the word rich still makes you tense, if the idea of being seen still makes you shrink, then there is inner work left to do, not because you are broken, but because you are being refined. I remember writing words about myself that felt foreign at first, labels that felt too large, statements that my current circumstances could not justify. But repetition does something powerful. What once felt awkward slowly became neutral. What felt neutral became familiar. What became familiar eventually became embodied. Your nervous system must learn to tolerate the future you are asking for. This is why language matters so deeply, not as positive thinking, but as spiritual architecture. Your words shape the structure your life will eventually inhabit. If your language is filled with hesitation, conditional statements, and quiet doubt, you are building a future with weak foundations. But when your language carries certainty, even quiet certainty, you begin reinforcing a structure that can hold weight. Notice how you speak about yourself when no one is listening. Notice the phrases you default to. I'm trying, maybe one day, if it works out. These sound harmless, but they encode uncertainty into your identity. They keep you positioned as someone hoping rather than someone aligning. There is a reason Scripture speaks of life and death being in the power of the tongue, not because words are magical, but because they reveal agreement, and agreement determines direction. You do not need to lie about where you are. You need to be precise about where you are going. Facts can coexist with faith. You may not be wealthy today yet. You may not be recognized yet. You may not be where you are called to be yet. That single word keeps the future open instead of sealed. As your language shifts, your decisions will begin to shift with it. You will notice yourself saying no without guilt, declining invitations that drain you, stepping away from conversations that pull you backward, choosing focus over familiarity. These are not losses, they are upgrades. There will be seasons when people misunderstand you, when your silence is interpreted as arrogance, when your boundaries are seen as distance. Let that happen. Misunderstanding is often the cost of transition. It does not last forever, but if you avoid it, you delay everything. The version of you that emerges next cannot be sustained by the same inputs that sustained the old one. Your mind, your environment, your relationships, all of it must be curated with intention, not from fear, but from clarity. You are not isolating, you are aligning. I learned that obsession is not unhealthy when it is purpose-driven. Interested people watch. Obsessed people build. When something is truly assigned to you, it will demand focus that others do not understand. Let them watch. Let them question. You are not here to be relatable. You are here to be effective. This is the season where consistency matters more than intensity, where showing up quietly outperforms dramatic bursts of effort, where discipline becomes devotion, where focus becomes worship. And as you stay steady, something subtle but powerful will happen. The world will begin to expect a different version of you. Opportunities will come with less resistance. People will trust you faster. Momentum will build without announcement. That is when you will realize the shift was never sudden, it was prepared. Chosen one. This is not about becoming someone extraordinary. It is about finally becoming congruent. When your inner world and outer actions align, wealth stops feeling like a reach and starts feeling like a response. And once that alignment locks in, there is no going back, only forward with clarity, authority, and a quiet confidence that does not need to explain itself. Chosen one, after identity begins to stabilize, heaven turns your attention to something far more practical, but no less spiritual. This is where many people break alignment without realizing it. Not because they lack faith, but because they underestimate the power of environment. You can carry a renewed identity and still stall if your surroundings keep pulling you back into old patterns. Heaven may shift your heart in a moment, but your environment must be retrained deliberately. This is why some people feel spiritually awakened, yet financially stagnant. Their inner world has moved, but their outer world has not caught up. I learned this during a season when my vision expanded faster than my structure. I wanted growth, influence, and impact, but my daily environment was still designed for survival, not expansion. My schedule was reactive. My relationships were familiar, not aligned. My inputs were inconsistent. And without realizing it, I was asking a future-level calling to operate inside a past-level system. That never works. Chosen one wealth does not respond to desire alone. It responds to preparation. And preparation is not abstract. It is logistical. It is strategic. It is intentional. Heaven supplies vision, but stewardship builds the container. You do not lack resources. You lack resource alignment. This is where the mindset of scarcity quietly exposes itself. Scarcity says, I don't have enough, so I can't start. Abundance says, I will reorganize what I have until it becomes enough. One posture waits for permission, the other creates momentum. Think about any major transformation you admire, physical, financial, spiritual. None of them happened accidentally. They happened because someone redesigned their environment to support who they were becoming, not who they used to be. When I decided to upgrade one area of my life, I quickly realized intention was not enough. I needed structure, coaching, systems, boundaries. I needed to remove friction from the right actions and increase friction around the wrong ones. I needed to make success easier and distraction harder. That is not discipline, that is wisdom. Your environment is constantly discipling you whether you notice it or not. Your calendar preaches, your phone feeds preach, your conversations preach, your habits preach, and they are either reinforcing your future identity or dragging you back into an old one. This is why heaven often begins to disrupt things around you when elevation approaches. Plans fall apart, people drift, familiar routines lose their comfort. It feels inconvenient, sometimes painful, but it is intentional. God is clearing space for something heavier than what you have been carrying. Do not rush to replace what is leaving. Let the gap teach you what no longer fits. Chosen one. The next level of wealth will require a new standard of focus, not frantic focus, sacred focus. The kind that says no without explanation. The kind that prioritizes alignment over entertainment. The kind that understands time is not just currency, it is covenant. There will be moments when you must choose between familiarity and future. Familiarity feels warm. The future feels quiet and demanding. Choose the future. It will reward you with a depth of peace familiarity never could. You must also understand this becoming misunderstood is not a sign you are off track. It is often confirmation that you are moving ahead of your old image. People can only relate to the version of you they remember. When you change faster than their perception, friction is inevitable. Let it be. Misunderstanding is temporary. Transformation is permanent. There is a season usually short but intense, where consistency matters more than applause, where showing up feels lonely, where progress feels invisible. This is the crucible where most people quit, not because nothing is happening, but because too much is happening internally for the old world to recognize yet. Stay. 6 months of focused consistency can rewrite an entire identity in the eyes of the world, but only if you do not keep explaining yourself mid-process. Explanation leaks energy, focus compounds it. Chosen. One obsession is not imbalance when it is anchored in calling. When something is assigned to you, it will demand attention that others do not understand. Let them misunderstand. You are not abandoning them, you are answering something higher. As your focus sharpens, another shift must occur, the shift from excuse to resourcefulness. Resourcefulness is not about having more. It is about deciding nothing you need is out of reach. I have seen people delay their destiny for years because they convinced themselves they were missing one thing: money, connection, support. But the truth is, if something truly mattered, they would find a way. Humans are remarkably resourceful when desire becomes commitment. If I told you a solution existed and required discomfort, inconvenience, or courage, would you still pursue it? Your answer reveals where you are in your alignment. Heaven does not respond to comfort. It responds to commitment. This is why your environment must now be audited honestly. Who are you spending time with? Are they reinforcing your future or narrating your past? What are you consuming daily? Is it training you for leadership or numbing you for survival? Where is your time going? Does it reflect who you say you are becoming? These questions are not accusations, they are invitations. Spend more time with people chasing a common future than those reminiscing about a common past. That does not mean rejection, it means priority. There is a difference. Your language, your schedule, your inputs, your associations, they are either conspiring with your destiny or competing against it. There is no neutral. As this alignment deepens, you may feel pressure to retreat. Old habits will try to reassert themselves. Familiar comforts will call your name. This is not failure, it is resistance to change. Every system resists transformation before it stabilizes. Push through, because on the other side of this phase, something shifts externally. Momentum becomes visible. People start responding differently. Doors open faster. Resistance decreases. Not because the world changed, but because you did. Chosen one. The wealth that shocks others will not come from a single dramatic moment. It will come from a series of quiet decisions you make when no one is watching. Decisions to stay focused. Decisions to redesign your environment. Decisions to choose alignment over explanation. This is not about becoming extreme. It is about becoming intentional. And when intention becomes habit, habit becomes identity, and identity becomes destiny. You are not forcing this season. You are cooperating with it. Stay steady, stay aligned, stay willing to let the old structures fall so new ones can rise. Because once your environment matches your identity, the results are no longer optional, they are inevitable. Chosen one. There comes a moment in every true elevation where heaven asks for something most people are unwilling to give: final separation from the old self. Not in theory, not emotionally, but practically, visibly, and irreversibly. This is the point where transformation stops being inspirational and starts being confrontational. Up until now, you could still keep one foot in the past. You could still revisit old habits, old identities, old comforts, just in case. But the level of wealth that shocks people does not coexist with contingency plans rooted in fear. Heaven does not release weight where there is still an exit strategy. This is where many sincere, capable, talented people stall, not because they lack faith, but because they refuse to fully burn the boats. They want the future, but they keep souvenirs from the past. They want expansion, but they keep backups for retreat. And without realizing it, those backups become anchors. I remember the first time I truly understood this. I had already changed my thinking. I had upgraded my discipline. I had refined my vision. But I was still carrying physical reminders of an identity I no longer lived in. Habits, relationships, safety nets that told my nervous system, you can always go back. And as long as that message existed, my spirit never fully committed forward. Chosen one. You cannot cross certain thresholds while still negotiating with yesterday. This is why reinvention feels intense. Not because you are becoming someone fake, but because you are letting something die. And death, even of the wrong version, is still loss. There is grief in growth that people do not talk about. Grief for the friendships that no longer fit. Grief for the familiarity that once comforted you. Grief for the version of you that survived hard seasons and kept you safe. Honor that grief, but do not obey it. Heaven does not ask you to abandon who you are. It asks you to upgrade the code. Like software, you do not delete the whole system. You debug what no longer serves the current version. You remove the glitches that cause crashes under pressure. You keep the strength, the resilience, the wisdom, and you release the patterns that sabotage stability. This is where other people begin to react. When you change, it confronts what others have chosen not to change. When you stop playing small, it exposes the comfort of those who stayed small. When you no longer respond the way you used to, some will accuse you of becoming distant, proud, or different. You are different, and you must be okay with that. You are not responsible for how others process your growth. You are responsible for stewarding it. Let people keep the version of you that fits their memory if they need to. You do not need to correct them. Correction drains energy. Alignment preserves it. There will be moments when someone tries to speak your past over you, reminding you of who you used to be, what you used to do, how you used to think. Do not argue, do not explain, simply refuse the narrative internally. What you do not accept cannot attach. I learned to respond with silence, or sometimes with humor, because confidence does not need defense. When you are truly aligned, your life will answer for you. Chosen one. One of the clearest signs that elevation is real is when your tolerance for misalignment drops. You will notice this first in small things. Certain conversations will feel heavy. Certain environments will feel loud. Certain behaviors that once felt normal will now feel foreign. This is not judgment, it is calibration. Your spirit is adjusting to a higher frequency. This is also why practical symbols matter more than people realize. What you keep around you communicates agreement to your subconscious. Old clothes that no longer fit. Old subscriptions that keep you distracted. Old financial habits that whisper scarcity. These things may seem insignificant, but they send signals. If your body has changed dress for the new body. If your income has shifted structure for the new income. If your identity has evolved, remove what belongs to the former version. This is not wasteful, it is intentional. I once watched someone hold on to things just in case they gained weight again, just in case the money disappeared, just in case life went backward. That just in case was not wisdom. It was fear disguised as practicality, and fear always keeps a door open for regression. Chosen one. Wealth does not thrive in environments prepared for loss. This is why heaven often asks you to close lines of credit you no longer need, to remove fallback options that keep you psychologically divided. Not because those tools are evil, but because divided focus weakens commitment. When you fully commit to the new version, your decisions gain power. Burning the boats does not mean recklessness. It means clarity. Clarity that says, this is who I am now. Clarity that says there is no return to the old operating system. Clarity that says I trust alignment more than safety. As this clarity locks in, something profound happens internally. Your nervous system begins to relax, not because life is easier, but because there is no longer internal contradiction. When you stop living between versions, your energy consolidates. Focus sharpens. Confidence stabilizes. And this is when others start to feel it. They may not understand what changed. They may not see the details, but they will sense weight in your presence, certainty in your decisions, calm in your movement. This is the kind of authority that cannot be rehearsed. It only emerges when identity and action finally merge. Chosen one. The wealth that shocks people does not come from sudden luck. It comes from irreversibility. From the moment you decide there is no going back, only forward refinement. This does not mean life becomes perfect. It means life becomes coherent. You will still face challenges. You will still encounter resistance, but you will no longer question who you are while facing them. That inner solidity changes everything. Challenges stop feeling like threats and start feeling like confirmations. And here is the sacred paradox. The more you let the old self die, the more alive you become, the lighter you feel, the clearer you think, the easier it is to move. What once required force now responds to alignment. Chosen one. If this phase feels uncomfortable, you are not doing it wrong. You are doing it completely. Few people go this far. Fewer still stay. But those who fully release the old agreements, the old identities, the old escape routes, they enter a season where life no longer negotiates with them. It responds. Stay faithful to this crossing. Do not resurrect what you have already outgrown. Do not apologize for becoming who you were always meant to be. Because once the old version is truly gone, what remains is not arrogance, it is authority. And authority attracts provision without begging explanation or delay. Chosen one, after separation comes stabilization. And this is where many people misunderstand what true power looks like. They assume elevation means constant motion, constant proof, constant expansion. But heaven does something unexpected at this stage. It teaches you how to stand still without losing momentum, how to move with patience instead of panic, how to hold weight without broadcasting it. This is the season where your inner life must mature faster than your outer success. Because sudden wealth without inner stability does not elevate, it exposes. I have watched people receive opportunities they prayed for only to self-destruct, because their internal world could not sustain the pressure of increase. The money wasn't the problem, the visibility wasn't the problem, the responsibility wasn't the problem. The problem was that their inner pace never slowed down enough to develop discernment. Heaven does not just prepare your hands to receive, it prepares your nervous system to remain calm once it arrives. Chosen one, you are being trained now to move without urgency, to make decisions without fear, to say yes slowly and no cleanly. This is the maturity that keeps wealth from becoming chaos. There is a quiet confidence that begins to form in this phase. You stop rushing to be understood. You stop chasing validation. You stop reacting to every opportunity as if it might be the last. Scarcity loses its voice here, not because resources are unlimited, but because trust is now internal. Trust in your timing, trust in your discernment, trust in your ability to wait without losing direction. This is where patience becomes power. People often mistake patience for passivity. It is not. Patience is controlled momentum. It is the ability to delay action without losing alignment. It is the strength to pause when impulse would move you prematurely. I remember moments when opportunities appeared that looked perfect on the surface: fast money, quick visibility, easy growth. Old versions of me would have jumped immediately, but something had shifted. I could feel misalignment even when the offer looked good, and saying no felt strangely peaceful. That peace was protection. Chosen one, discernment is one of the greatest signs that heaven trusts you with more. Discernment does not announce itself loudly. It whispers, it nudges, it unsettles you just enough to make you pause. And if you ignore it, alignment begins to leak. This is why your inner world must remain clean. Not morally perfect, but uncluttered. Too much noise blurs discernment. Too many opinions dilute clarity. Too many options weaken conviction. In this phase, simplicity becomes sacred. You will find yourself craving fewer conversations but deeper ones. Fewer commitments but stronger alignment. Fewer goals but clearer execution. This is not contraction, it is concentration. Concentrated energy moves faster than scattered effort. Chosen. One, heaven is not asking you to do everything. It is asking you to do the right things at the right time. That requires listening more than speaking, observing more than announcing, waiting more than forcing. There is also a subtle emotional shift here. You may notice that the highs are calmer and the lows are steadier. You are no longer riding emotional extremes. This is not numbness, this is regulation. Your system is learning to operate at a higher baseline. This is what allows leaders to remain grounded while carrying weight. You will also begin to notice how little you need external affirmation. Compliments no longer inflate you. Criticism no longer collapses you. Praise feels pleasant but not necessary. Silence feels neutral, not threatening. This is a sign that identity has anchored, and anchored identity attracts respect quietly. People will start seeking your opinion, watching how you move, trusting your judgment, not because you demand attention, but because your presence feels settled. Authority that is not seeking recognition becomes magnetic. Chosen one. This is where your relationship with time changes. You stop measuring progress daily and start trusting patterns over seasons. You understand that consistency compounds invisibly before it manifests visibly. You are no longer discouraged by slow days because you know what they are building. This patience allows you to steward wealth responsibly when it begins to scale. You do not overspend to prove. You do not overextend to impress. You do not rush expansion to satisfy ego. You move strategically, not emotionally. And this is what shocks people later. Not just that you became wealthy, but that you did it without collapsing, without chaos, without losing yourself. This stage also refines your motives. You begin to ask deeper questions. Why do I want this? Who does this serve? What kind of steward do I want to be? These questions do not slow you down. They stabilize you. They ensure that the wealth flowing through you does not distort your values or fracture your relationships. I learned that money amplifies intention. If your intention is unclear, money magnifies confusion. But when your intention is clean, money magnifies impact. Chosen one, you are not being prepared to consume wealth. You are being prepared to direct it, to allocate it, to use it as a tool rather than an identity. This is why this season feels sobering. It is not heavy, it is clarifying. There will be fewer emotional spikes, fewer dramatic moments, but there will be deeper satisfaction, a quiet sense of rightness, a grounded confidence that does not need to rush. Some people may mistake this calm for complacency. Let them. They do not see the inner work happening. They do not feel the pressure you are learning to carry with grace. Remember this: the strongest structures are built slowly and tested quietly before they ever become visible. Chosen one, do not fear this stillness. It is not stagnation. It is integration. Your spirit is integrating the changes. Your mind is recalibrating. Your system is learning a new rhythm. And once integration completes, movement becomes effortless. You will not need to convince anyone. You will not need to announce shifts. You will not need to rush outcomes. Your life will speak. This is the phase where wisdom begins to outweigh ambition, where clarity guides speed, where restraint protects momentum. And this is why when the wealth becomes visible, it will not surprise you, only everyone else. Because while they were watching for noise, you were building stability. While they were chasing fast results, you were cultivating depth. While they were reacting, you were aligning. Chosen one, stay grounded here. Stay patient. Stay discerning. This quiet season is not the pause before greatness. It is the foundation that makes greatness sustainable. And what is built on this foundation does not crumble under pressure. It multiplies with time. Chosen one. This final phase is where everything you have allowed to be reshaped begins to converge. not with noise, not with announcement, but with inevitability. This is the season where alignment turns into authority, and authority quietly rearranges outcomes. By now you may have noticed something subtle but unmistakable. Life no longer feels random. Patterns are clearer. Decisions land with more certainty. Resistance shows up less often, and when it does, it no longer intimidates you. That is not coincidence. That is evidence that you are no longer negotiating with your calling. This is where wealth stops feeling like a future idea and starts feeling like a responsibility you are being trusted to carry. Heaven does not elevate people who are still trying to prove something. It elevates those who are prepared to steward without needing validation. And what you are stepping into now is not simply financial increase, it is jurisdiction. Influence over resources, influence over systems, influence over outcomes that affect more than just you. That is why this phase demands humility without hesitation. Humility does not mean shrinking. It means clarity about where the power comes from. It means understanding that wealth is not your identity, it is an assignment. And assignments require obedience, discipline, and restraint just as much as ambition. Chosen one. There will be moments ahead when you could move faster, but you will choose not to. Moments when you could speak, but you will remain silent. Moments when you could take advantage, but you will choose integrity. Those decisions will not be celebrated publicly, but they will shape the trajectory of everything that follows. This is where legacy thinking replaces survival thinking. You will begin to measure success differently, not by how much you accumulate, but by how cleanly you move. Not by how many doors open, but by which ones you choose to walk through. Not by speed, but by sustainability. I learned that the real test of wealth is not whether you can get it, it is whether you can keep your spirit intact while managing it. Money introduces options, options reveal character, and character determines longevity. Chosen one. This is also where generosity becomes instinctive, not performative. You will notice that giving no longer feels like loss. It feels like alignment. Because when your identity is secure, generosity does not threaten you, it expresses you. You will give without needing recognition, support without needing control, invest without needing certainty. This is the posture of someone who trusts flow rather than clinging to outcomes. And paradoxically, this is when provision accelerates. Not because you chase it, but because you no longer obstruct it with fear. There will also be a new kind of protection around you. Discernment will sharpen further. Certain deals will collapse before they reach you. Certain relationships will fade without drama. Certain risks will lose their appeal. This is not loss. This is filtration. Heaven filters before it multiplies. Chosen one. You are entering a phase where your presence alone opens doors, where people trust you quickly without knowing why, where opportunities align with your values instead of challenging them. This is what happens when inner order produces outer favor. You may still face challenges, but they will feel different, less personal, more strategic, like puzzles rather than threats. Because you are no longer reacting from insecurity, you are responding from authority, and authority is calm. This calm will confuse some people. They will expect celebration, announcement, or performance. Instead, they will see focus, precision, quiet momentum. Let them misunderstand. You are not here to entertain perception. You are here to execute assignment. Chosen one. The wealth that shocks others in your life will not shock you, because you will have already lived with it internally long before it becomes visible externally. Your nervous system will not spike, your values will not fracture, your relationships will not collapse under pressure. That is how you will know this was heaven-backed. You will not wake up one day and feel like you made it. You will simply notice that your decisions carry more weight, your time is more protected, and your impact extends further than before. Wealth will feel integrated, not separate, normal, not dramatic. And that normalcy is the greatest proof of preparation. This is also where you must remain vigilant, not fearful, but aware. Pride does not always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it whispers comfort, complacency. This is enough. Stay grateful, but stay alert. Gratitude keeps you grounded. Awareness keeps you aligned. Chosen one. You were not chosen to stop growing. You were chosen to grow responsibly. As your influence expands, remember what anchored you. Remember the seasons of obscurity. Remember the inner work that no one saw. Remember the discipline that formed you when applause was absent. That memory will keep your feet on the ground while your reach expands. This is not about perfection. You will still learn. You will still adjust. You will still refine, but you will no longer question whether you belong in the space you occupy. Belonging will be assumed, and that assumption will free you from comparison, free you from urgency, free you from the need to explain your path. Comparison fades when purpose is clear. Urgency fades when timing is trusted. Chosen one. The shock others experience will not come from extravagance. It will come from consistency, from watching you rise steadily without collapse, from seeing you prosper without losing peace, from realizing that you did not compromise your values to gain your position. That kind of wealth is rare, and that is why it stands out. You were not prepared for this moment overnight. You were prepared through every delay, every recalibration, every uncomfortable shedding of old identities. Nothing was wasted. Nothing was accidental. And now, as alignment solidifies, the future responds. Do not rush to define success for yourself. Let your life reveal it over time. Stay faithful to the posture that got you here, grounded, disciplined, surrendered, clear. Chosen one. What begins to manifest next will feel less like achievement and more like arrival. Not arrival at a destination, but arrival into agreement with who you were always meant to be. And when that agreement locks in, wealth becomes a consequence, not a pursuit. Remain anchored, remain discerning, remain open. The work has been deep. The alignment is real. And the season ahead will not require you to strive only to stay congruent. Because when heaven trusts someone with increase, it does not need to remind them who they are. They already know. Chosen one. As this moment comes to a close, rest in this truth. Nothing you have heard today was accidental. Heaven has already set events in motion, and the shift you have been sensing is real. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the appointed time, where preparation meets release and faith meets fulfillment. What once felt delayed is now aligning with precision. Anointed one, do not fear the bigness of what is ahead. You were refined for it. The weight you are about to carry will not crush you, it will crown you. A supernatural transfer is unfolding quietly, and what is being released to you will come with peace, clarity, and authority. Stay faithful to the posture that brought you here. Stay aligned. Stay surrendered. May your steps be ordered, your discernment remain sharp, and your heart stay pure as abundance finds you. May every door meant for you open at the right time, and every distraction lose its power. Walk forward with gratitude, knowing that heaven backs what you are building. If this word has resonated with your spirit, remain connected. Subscribe as a sign of alignment, not obligation. And if you feel led, leave a simple word of agreement in the comments. Let it be a quiet seal on what has been spoken. Go in peace, chosen one. The work is established, the blessing is active, and what comes next will speak for itself.